Hello and welcome to Slow Pit Stop, the international Formula One podcast by fans for all around the world. My name is Arafat, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host. Say hi, Mohammed.
Sorry, George Russell.
Sorry, George Russell. We'll get to that. There's reasons for you to say sorry to George Russell. That I think are actually quite entertaining. We're in phase one of a triple header. We've had the Spanish Grand Prix. We have another two coming up without any break, which will be fun. And so we've got a quick and interesting episode for you. We're going to be talking about some news, a lot to do with driver market, a lot to do with management. And then we need to get into Mohammed and his apology to George Russell. And then we'll quickly discuss some of our favourite bits of the Spanish Grand Prix. News, Joe Sayward today is reporting that Ricciardo looks like he's going to be out by the end of July and have his seat taken by Liam Lawson. How'd you feel about that?
I don't know, man. That breaks my heart. Have you ever been replaced at your job? Like, have you ever been told you're not performing so poor that you were replaced at your job?
No, but once I was asked by a surgeon to come down to surgery and assist. I was like, FY1, I was at your stage of life, right? And he was a real character. Okay? He reminded me a lot of Sheldon from Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Like, I remember once, like, he was looking at our educational supervisor meeting, and he's, like, going through, and he goes, do you know how to do this? And I was like, yes. And he goes, do you know who you're supposed to talk to if you're having a personal crisis? And I was like, I think that's you. He's like, yes, technically it should be me. Although there's many other doctors in this hospital, and I'd prefer if you spoke to one of them. I was like, okay. Anyway, this guy once takes me down to surgery. I'm just standing there for ages. I'm really bored. And I was just like, I think I was hungry or whatever. And I just started to feel a bit, not lightheaded, but like I was done standing for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of said, like, can I just take a seat for a moment? I wasn't even doing anything. I was like, can I just take a seat for a minute? And he was like, you can just go back up to the ward if you want, and send someone else. So yeah, that's the one time in my life I've been replaced, but it was kind of
ruthless.
through my own asking.
May I sit down? Absolutely not. This is surgery. You think we sit in surgery? Yeah. Oh my god. So I mean, I feel bad for him because I feel like he got pretty unlucky with his timing. He jumped a bunch of teams. He was ambitious, trying to get to the right team that would catapult him, maybe the jump from Renault to McLaren was just like, I mean, that was the biggest mistake of his career.
Yeah.
But it's just heartbreaking to see the effects of that in real time. And I'm glad he at least got another shot so all of us could be like, well, this is what would have happened if he came back. Because otherwise we would have just regretted. Who knows what would have happened if he had his seat. Yeah. I don't know. But it's just sad, it's... I'm sad. It makes me sad. But it's
I'm a fan of him as a person. And I wish his results were better right now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. It is sad.
But
you almost feel like that these driver changes in the middle of the season, I feel, are especially brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was like the end of the year, and he was told, 4, 5, 6 races before the end of the year, by the way, we're going to be looking elsewhere. One, I guess that gives him time to look around. And two, if there's no other team that's going to take him, but I suppose if he knows now this is really early, so he can talk to Alpine, he can talk to other places. But
yeah,
I think the thing about being replaced in the middle of the season is it's like you don't have a chance to say goodbye. Like, I remember other drivers, they've had their retirement year.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mark Webber, David Coulthard, those were the ones, when I first started watching Formula One.
Yeah.
I remember they had their retirement year. And I remember when Massa retired the first time, everybody came out in Brazil to clap for him and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I remember Rubens Barrichello, he was like, he's refusing to say he's retiring, he's refusing to say goodbye. He was like, I know I will be on the grid next year. And he wasn't.
Yeah.
And he didn't get a chance to say goodbye or anything. So,
wow.
I don't know.
No, I totally understand. Like, I get it because first of all, he was kind of unceremoniously dumped from McLaren. He got a lot of
Yeah,
money out of it, but then he came in. This was supposed to be his big second chance, and it's just sad. Like, it's a sad story, but I do think it's the right move overall for the team. Although I don't know that Yuki is that much better. Maybe I'm not looking at their race finishing that, accurately. Maybe I need to look at it closer. And Yuki really does deserve the seat. But I'd hope more from Danny Rick. I'd hoped him to be the great Rosberg to Max
yeah,
Verstappen. I'd hoped he'd had make it back into the Red Bull seat by now. But I think Red Bull's in an interesting situation. I know that fans especially don't want Sergio Perez in that seat, but
yeah,
I don't know who else could take that seat. Certainly not Danny Rick. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. It's a real
So,
shame it's not Sainz. I think the most realistic of all options
yeah,
in terms of like I think Max would probably still win over the course of a season,
yeah,
but actually give us some competition and stuff would be Sainz.
yeah.
But also it's interesting because like the other teams are now becoming more competitive. McLaren's more competitive
Mhm,
in the right circumstances. Ferrari's more competitive.
mhm.
You'd think it would make sense for Red Bull to have two drivers that are capable of podiums, points, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Like having a rear gunner for
yeah,
Verstappen, and I don't think Perez is there. I think he's in that seat because he doesn't bother Verstappen, and that's what Jos Verstappen wants.
yeah, yeah. I know it's just wild. It's like they're I don't know. Are they sacrificing the constructors? We'll
Yeah,
have to wait and see, I guess. But that's what it really looks like.
but yeah,
And that's why I wanted to
like
play that game, the F1, like you be the team manager, because sometimes you have
yeah,
to make these tough choices and you really don't know which one is the right move.
yeah.
And yeah.
Speaking of team managers making
Hmm.
tough choices that don't make sense to the rest of the world,
Dude, and he's gonna. Oh, I heard he's trying to get Carlos Sainz on the team. I heard he's trying to target every driver. I don't know. This is wild. This is like the great villain of F1. This is the somehow Palpatine returned of
yeah,
Formula One. Somehow Flavio
somehow
Briatore
Flavio
returned.
returned. Like reputationally for Renault, this is an insane thing,
Mm,
right?
I know this guy like caused their downfall.
It only makes sense in one angle because you look at it from a sporting side. Yeah, okay, Flavio won races, championships, and things when he was the team boss.
Yeah,
But you think about any other sport, football, American hand egg, hockey,
sure.
whatever. You're like, oh, there was this great manager 20 years ago. If your
Hmm.
team's doing badly, the answer is not to bring that manager back from 20 years ago because the game
Hmm.
has moved on. That's not,
Hmm.
do you know what I mean? So, from a sporting side, I don't think it makes sense for him to come. We had a whole thing about uh, Williams running off an Excel sheet, and that's why they were inefficient in getting parts sorted and things. Apparently,
Yeah.
Alpine only upgraded just quite recently compared before that. Um, so I think Flavio was a good manager for a certain moment in time, but there's so many things that have changed. Anyway, so it doesn't make sense from a sporting side. From a
Yeah.
PR side, it definitely doesn't make sense because it's like you remember
I
this
know.
man that he's
Yeah.
back. So from a PR side, it doesn't make sense. Flavio has stayed around Formula One this whole time anyway. He
Hmm.
introduces people that own tracks to F1. He brokers deals.
Hmm.
So what the feeling is, the only way the Flavio thing makes sense
Hmm.
is Renault is looking to sell. And
Hmm.
Flavio is a businessman, he's a deal maker, and whether he'll make a deal with Andretti, someone else, whatever.
Huh.
But it looks like, because Renault are right now shopping around for engines from other teams. So
Yeah. Yeah.
how would it make sense from 2026 for it to be the Alpine Mercedes or the Renault
Yeah.
Mercedes or whatever?
Hmm.
But to bring in a businessman like Flavio
Hmm.
to help broker a deal
Hmm.
so that, then it becomes Andretti Mercedes or
Hmm.
whatever, or some other team altogether.
Hmm.
In my mind, that's the only way the Flavio thing makes sense.
No, you're right. It has to be because, yeah, I like. Obviously, I didn't watch Formula One when Flavio Briatore was around, but I can't be a sporting thing because I just keep thinking about how this new Alpine Renault leadership got rid of Alain Prost. And why would you get rid of him if you're looking for a sporting advantage? I mean, this guy is like the certified one of the greatest of all times,
Yeah,
and you had him on your team as an advisor. And I just can't, like when they fired everybody, I couldn't believe that they fired him as well. So if you're gonna bring somebody back who's gonna lead the team into the point and into the midfield and maybe even into the top three, why not just bring him back? Like he knows how to race. So the
Yeah.
fact that Flavio's back makes me think there's something more, but I don't think it's just purely sporting, and it's definitely not PR. It has to do probably with something on the management side of things. It's like when Lewis brought back one of his team managers just a few weeks before he moved to Ferrari, and everybody was like, "Oh
Yeah.
wow, this guy is back," from the Rosberg era. I wonder why. And it was because he was brokering the deal with Ferrari. That's why he was
Yeah.
brought back. So I'm sure there must be some kind of sale going on. But can you imagine if like Renault gets bought by Andretti, which I know people are talking about, but that would be crazy because that's a French team. It's gonna be bought by a fully American team. Like,
Yeah.
would they ever live that ever live that down? I think it would
But
be
it's
really funny.
yeah. I think you feel for Team Enstone because
Yeah.
I think the team at Enstone is a very
Mhm.
good team.
Mhm.
Who under Lotus did very well. They used to be
Mhm.
Renault. They used to be
Mhm.
all sorts. They keep changing all over the place.
Mhm.
And whoever their like paymasters are,
Mhm.
they're not an underdog, but they're a team that punches above their weight
Mhm.
generally. Like yes, okay, they're having not a great season this year, but you know they're not. They have good years as well.
Yeah.
Um,
They do have good
so
years. They actually have very good years.
yeah,
They
so
were
you
like
feel for them, but I don't know. I hope whatever transpires from all of this means that Team Enstone gets to have a chance of being competitive again and racing for wins. Yeah.
instead. So everyone gets a shot. Everyone gets a year. Aston had their year.
Yeah.
What was it, last year or the year before?
Yeah.
Maybe both. They screwed the pooch, and now they're somewhere at the bottom. McLaren, this is their year. Okay, I'll give them the chance for the race wins and the poles, which they're getting. But that's it. They only get this year. And then Mercedes is over forever. I hope they never climb up again. And it's all Ferrari. Forza Ferrari. I've never
All
been
Ferrari.
a Mercedes fan. I'm a
Yeah.
Ferrari fan.
100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mercedes, there was an email that was sent out to they just like reply all to the Christian Horner email. This is being sabotaged and this and this and this and this. What did
Yeah.
you make of all of that?
So I didn't read the email.
No,
Slow
I've
Pit
not
Stop
seen it
is
either.
not yet on the mailing list. We're working really
Yeah.
hard to get there. But it's funny, these like emails are these like what's the word I'm looking for? Anonymous emails are always so funny when they come out because you never know like who decided to type that out. Is it a true like whistleblower who's like, I know what's going on the other side of the garage? Is it somebody who is just trying to cause a stir? But what's funnier to me than the actual email going out was Mercedes's reaction to it. Like they thought they got robbed. They were like,
Yeah.
we're putting the police on this, we're gonna hire an investigator. It's completely false. It didn't happen. Whoever wrote that email is going to jail in Germany and never coming out. Other teams routinely get like accused of favoritism. Red Bull
Yeah.
gets accused all the time, and they never have this kind of visceral reaction, which to me actually says that it's probably real. Like, why are they getting so upset for something? If it was fake, they could just be like, okay, it's obviously fake, let's
Yeah.
move on. But
But
I
I
don't
think
know.
a lot of people have said it's obviously fake. I think there's things you need to separate out. I don't think it makes commercial sense for any
Mm,
team to sabotage
mm,
a car or slow a driver down. It can make sense for them to say, Lewis, after July, we're going to be excluding you from meetings where we're talking about future parts, blah, 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 or whatever. We're going to exclude you from a certain set of meetings
yeah.
because it's stuff that is competitive going into the future, but will obviously involve you in all the race debriefs and this and this and this. That's normal practice. And we all have this. Well, not other people get to do jobs, but they don't have to change job every year. But we do jobs where you have to change every like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and sometimes you just don't feel committed. If do you know what? Next Monday I'm going to be in a different place altogether.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't feel, and then they don't invest in you because like this guy's going to leave anyway.
Yeah.
So I think there may be a subconscious, not breakdown, but change in the relationship, which is contributing to poor performances. But I don't think there's active sabotage. I genuinely think that email was sent by Christian Horner. He's so sad you don't interview him anymore. Nobody talks to him. Nobody ever mentions him. I think he wanted to do something to just feel alive again. Like, Jerry Horner is now Jerry Halliwell. Like, bit by bit, his world is falling apart. And
Yeah.
he can't even have it happen on camera because no one's talking to him anymore. So I'm convinced he did this just so that, he got a buzz from it.
That would be so funny. Other point, I think the email was written by Flavio Briatore. I think he's back on the grid. He needs to start causing chaos. Hades is his first target. He's going after them. He's going to cause a civil war. And I think he's probably the one who maybe attacked Christian Horner as well. I don't know. I think he's coming for everyone and nobody's safe. But yeah.
I'm actually quite excited for what nonsense Flavio brings.
I know, it's going to be quite the time, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know about the email though. It's quite funny. I mean, I don't know.
The police
I wish somebody showed us. Yeah, what did the police say?
The police were like, we're not doing anything further.
You mean it's not a crime to send an email?
Advice to Mercedes. And the Mercedes said something like, we don't believe this came from within our own organization. We've not been able to trace where it came from, but we can't find any evidence it came from within our own organization. I mean, they just did a search of everybody's send box and everybody's deleted emails.
Oh my god.
That makes me think even more it's Christian Horner.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make an email. It's gonna be called biggest hater at Formula1Insider.com.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna find all of their emails, and I'm just gonna start sending out. I'm gonna make an email list of all the F1 teams and all of the journalists, and just start sending out the craziest stuff. It's gonna be like Carlos Sainz has signed with Ferrari. I'm breaking this news first. I'm just gonna keep doing it over and over again.
Wasn't there a show, Gossip Girl or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I never watched it. Is that what happened in Gossip Girl? She just made up gossip? Is that why it's called Gossip Girl?
Like a random.
I didn't know that.
It was a person that was just sending out like people's stuff. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I just.
I didn't know that. I know Gossip Girl exists, but yeah, maybe I'm gonna be.
You should be Grid
I'm
Girl,
gonna be the real life F1 Gossip Girl. Let's go.
Yes, let's do it. Speaking of you and social media, last week you put out a tweet from Slow Pit Stop, where you were shouting at George Russell, who was racing in Canada. I've got the tweet here if anybody's looking on the camera. So this is you saying, "If you touch him, George, I will kill you," and you shouted it out. Now, I didn't think much of it. I thought it was one of those, when you're like shouting at a sports game and you're like, "Oh, if you come near him, I swear I'll..." Like, your language was perhaps stronger than I would have used, but I think that was a sort of slightly jokey sentiment. I don't think it was a legitimate death threat to George Russell. So, this being one of our most popular tweets for a very long time, and the quote tweets on this, oh man, there's like, and all these people have George Russell as their display picture, which I like. This isn't called being passionate; it's called being an effing psycho. Even more so when you proudly post yourself on social media doing this. Lol. And then someone else with George Russell in their profile picture. As what Toto Wolff said, please seek help. Don't get used to do something like this. What upsetting that some of you guys justify this kind of behavior thinking that is normal. It's not. Please seek help. And then there's someone who not only have they posted for the George Russell picture, they've gone and found other tweets of yours where you have like said stuff about George Russell and posted as a picture. Hate online is not enough. So now he is screaming passionately and at the top of your lungs that he wants kill him. Kill him. I'm reading this as written. I'm not like having a stroke. I'm just reading it as it's written. So you know what? Don't even delete the video. I'm going to say it right back at you. Just delete yourself.
I didn't get that one.
I don't know what isting is. This fandom is like a cancer spoiling everything. Cool.
Is this one of those segments where we're like, I read mean tweets about myself? Should I do that? Should I pull up
I'm reading them to you. it's like the one person's fan picture is literally GR propaganda, and their picture is George Russell in a helmet, like
Oh
an
my
army
God.
helmet. God, there was someone. Man, get a life. You really need to seek professional help. Disgusting behavior. Seek professional help. There's no place in F1 for this kind of behavior. This is sport, not life or death. Do better. I mean, like, chill, people.
Well, it's weird because recently I've been getting a lot of ads for these online therapy people like BetterHelp, and I don't know if you get them in the UK or if
Yeah.
BetterHelp even exists there, but I keep getting ads for them on Twitter, on Instagram. They're pushing really hard. They have this 20% off deal or something. And I keep thinking like, maybe this would be the time to have a therapist. Nah, I don't need a therapist. I've got Arfad. He's my therapist. I don't need one. And I feel like the universe keeps sending me signs to get a
Yeah.
therapist. This time, the sign is a bunch of George Russell fans who have found out that I don't like him. They definitely don't watch this show, so they definitely won't hear my apology. But I'm sorry to you guys for offending George Russell, His Highness George Russell. If it's not clear by now, I truly did not mean to tell him to kill himself or whatever. Or what I don't know. What did I say? I will kill
You said
you.
you
I
would kill him.
obviously don't mean I'm going to kill him, guys. This is sport, and it's just what I just like said it because I thought it was funny in the moment. But I don't think they're going to care because I posted an apology anyway on Twitter, and they all tore the apology apart. I thought the apology was grade A. Can you let's play the apology? Can you pull up the video?
Yeah.
And play it for our Twitter
Let's
viewers?
talk to some people.
I
So
thought
here's
it
the
was a
apology.
grade A apology. I thought I did a great job. I thought nobody has
When you
ever
made
written
this.
an apology greater than
Okay.
it. Yes.
This is yours.
Hey, let's get the music on.
Oh.
It's much fun. There you go. I'm sorry, George Russell. Exactly. How more apologetic can I get? Clearly, I'm telling you guys that I'm sorry for
And
offending your
someone
Lord
was
and
like,
Savior,
just some
George
light-hearted
Russell.
death threats. Everyone relax. You're disgusting and sickening human beings. Cult
My
H
God.
in all its beauty.
Now, tell me this, Arfat. Which is more hurtful? Me shouting in the middle of a race where nobody's going to hear me, or even posting it online where very few people are probably going to see it, or them directly responding to me on Twitter where I'm definitely going to read it and feel hurt. Anyway.
This is crazy. I'm just reading through some of these.
We have haters.
Anyway, someone somewhere did though. Your parents must be so ashamed of you.
I think they are, but I don't think it's because of this. Somebody else posted, this is why he's a multimillionaire and you're an unknown podcaster. And
Yeah.
I didn't respond to them, but I wanted to respond. Is this the reason why that is? Is this instance the reason why he's a multimillionaire and I'm a podcaster? Is that really why? This is the reason? I feel like there's other reasons why.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wanted to read these actually, and I wanted to read out the one that was like, your parents must be ashamed of you. And I texted your mum, and I said, "Can you send me a?"
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I wanted to play it out now to be like, actually, she is proud of you.
Okay, thanks.
No reply. And so then I texted your sister to be like, your mum's not answering. Can you help or like get your dad or something? No reply.
Which sister? Well, they're
Your
not
younger
proud of me
sister.
either, so
Your
they're
younger
not proud of
sister.
me either. So I can't go for this. I mean, I understand.
So that's where we're at just now.
Your parents must be so ashamed of you. They are. Seek professional help. I'm trying to. You are disgusting. Hey, listen, I try not to be disgusting. I do my best. But the internet is quite an interesting place, and I think they need to support their guy. You know what? I'll give them the props. They got to support their guy. If somebody came at Lewis, I would also tell them to delete themselves. I guess that's what I would do. So
yeah, I feel like people took it very, very seriously, and I think if they need to pick a driver that doesn't post pictures of himself with Margaret Thatcher, then with them.
Yeah, I don't think they listen to this, but I don't think they know that we are certified George Russell haters. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry to George. I'm sorry to the fans if they do listen to this. They won't.
Should we talk about the race and how George was
Yeah,
jammy at the beginning of the race?
we haven't even talked about the race yet. Oh my god. Yes, George Russell, what a start. I think Lewis looked like he had something off with his car. I don't know if it was
It
that or
was
if
in
he
the
didn't get the
second phase of the
slipstream.
start. He went
Yeah.
backwards.
Yeah, it was like he had a good start because when you're watching it, you can see that they got off pretty equally. But then Lewis immediately gets swallowed with the Ferraris, and then
Yeah.
George is able to get a really good slip and then get around both cars. And that got me really distressed because I was like, I really hope he doesn't keep the lead. And
Yeah.
thank God he didn't. Like 2 laps later or 3 laps later, he lost it. Thank the Lord. So yeah, it was a good start though. He has these moments of brilliance, you can see them, but they're
Yeah.
not consistent, and that's why he hasn't done more than he could, I guess.
Did you enjoy the race?
Did I enjoy the race?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It was
I
good.
really liked the race. I thought it was a
Yeah,
really good race.
it was a
Like, I
good
know
strategy
Max
race.
won, and that's a bit samey. He's won like 75% of all races in history or something. But I thought it was a good race. I thought it was interesting. There was a chance for Lando to win. There was moments where Lando lost it in the sense of his pit stop was
Mhm.
slow. Did he pit
Yeah,
quiet at the right time?
the
And then
team,
he
the
lost a bit
team
of
lost it
time.
for him. Yeah.
Yeah, he lost a bit of time getting around George.
Mhm.
And the thing that I wonder about was because Lewis watched him the first lap he came around behind him.
Mhm.
And then I think Lewis went, this guy's a lot faster than we are. And didn't really defend the next lap. He just kind of
Mhm.
let him pass and did his own
Yeah.
thing. But then when Lando overtook George Russell, George really started defending the position.
Mhm.
And on the one hand, I was like, this is cool because we enjoy watching people race and overtake and all this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But in the back of my mind, I was like, have his team told him that Lando is trying to fight for the win, and George, you're actually fighting Lewis for the podium, and you need to think about saving your tires for your fight with Lewis, because at the
Mhm.
moment you're just burning through everything. And he
Mhm.
did burn through his tires. He went onto a
Mhm.
suboptimal strategy on the hard,
Mhm.
and Lewis got past him. And I think for the driver, there's a lot going on.
Mhm.
And actually, I don't blame George. If he wanted to defend, go ahead and defend. But I wonder why the team didn't come on and say, this isn't the guy you're racing today.
I think it's payback for Canada, and I think it's a flipped situation from Canada. You know, this time George is on the hard, last time Lewis was on the hard. Neither of them wanted to be on that tire, and they get passed by their teammate and they lose out on the podium. And I think Mercedes realized in Lewis's case it was bad strategy call, and they screwed him over. So to make things even Stevens, they're gonna screw over George Russell in this race. That's what I think happened.
Is that the sabotage coming through?
Yeah, it's Flavio Briatore. He's infiltrated the Mercedes strategy department. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think either he didn't know or it is a good question. You know, sometimes when you're watching these races and it's like Charles Leclerc and he's not going to fight Max, he's going to let him pass. And you're like, can't you guys just let him pass? Like, can't you make him fight for it? Can't you? Why do you have to just move
Yeah.
over? But it makes sense actually when the end of the race comes and you're like, oh, they were actually in a different race. They're not fighting for the lead. But
Yeah.
I think Lando got caught up in two spots. One, he took too long to pit. And I think as soon as he made the decision that he's going to stay out, I was like, Lando, you don't have a good track record of making these
Yeah.
decisions. It's probably the wrong one, and it was. And then also the team really messed him up with that bad split stop. So Max won, I think, because the team is run better. Red Bull, we've known for a long time, operationally is one of the best teams, if not the
Yeah.
best. But also, I think Max managed his tires a lot better. And some people have been saying that, you know, he was a significant step down and, you know, it took this gargantuan effort for Max to win the race. I don't think it was like that. I actually think the McLaren and the Red Bull were pretty evenly paced, but
Uh-huh.
that Max was just a little bit better today.
Yeah.
I don't think that, you know, McLaren was significantly faster than Red Bull, and it was this
No.
big underdog
I think it
fight,
was
you
pretty
know?
even, and Max
Yeah,
was the better driver on the day, and Red
exactly.
Bull were the better team on the day.
Exactly. And I think, you know, we go back to 2021 when the Red Bull and the Mercedes were on equal pace. And this is the kind of stuff that made or break races was how Mercedes handled their pit stops and their operation and their tires and their strategy and all this kind of stuff. And when they didn't, when they made mistakes, they lost races. So it's if you're gonna beat Red Bull, you need to not only have a faster car, but your team can't make major races mistakes like that. Which is why I'm so excited to go to a team that is well known to never make a mistake, and that is Ferrari.
What did you think of Ferrari's race?
Pretty conspicuous. I think Carlos. Wow,
Yeah.
the Carlos fought. Carlos and Charles
Yeah.
fought, and I don't know why. I think Carlos is having a bit of a like Charles Leclerc said. He's in this part of his career where he needs to prove himself. It's kind of like harsh and funny, and tells you that their professional relationship is maybe breaking down. But it's
there's
kind
a
of
bit of
true.
tension there.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of true what he's saying, because Carlos, in a way, is still racing for his future. He doesn't have a full signature yet on the contract,
Yeah.
although it's not like he's not going to get one at all. But still, he wants to prove himself, and I think he's fighting his teammate, and I think he has nothing to lose, and that's why he's going for it. I'm really glad I didn't scream anything at Carlos Sainz, because I think I'm more afraid of his fans than the George Russell fans. His fans are wild. His fans
Joe
are
Sayward,
insane.
I see it on Twitter. Joe Sayward's always like, I'm gonna like just not read anything that comes at me in Spanish because the Sainz fans are next level.
Yeah, I know.
Do an episode about like the fandom tweets and find the most like unhinged ones.
My God, and have them all directed at me.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but that
I
I
just
think
got
was
a
the right.
WhatsApp. I thought maybe it's your mum. Is she gonna send me a voice note? It's not. It's my dad, and he sent me pictures of dim sum and gone.
So he is proud of you.
No, he's proud of his dim sum.
Oh, okay. He's proud of his dim sum. The one thing I want to say, because I just want to mention it before we forget, I think the Lewis move on Sainz was quite incredible, and I don't know why he doesn't do things like that more often. There were two moments in this race where it reminded me that he really hasn't lost a step. One was his overtake on Carlos Sainz. I thought that was very brave, and it's always like whenever I'm watching and I'm like, one more lap and then he'll get close enough. But then Lewis will always just go for it right there. And I'm like, wow, brave. And then he makes a stick. The other one is when Lando, the first lap around, was trying to get past him. And then just when you thought Lando was going to go for a dive, Lewis moved to the inside to cover him off. And I was like, wow, that was like impeccable timing. And then even, I don't remember if I was watching Sky or F1 TV, but one of them was like, oh, that was Lewis's sixth sense. His spidey sense tingled that a dive was about to happen and he covered it off. And I was like, yeah, that is the experience you get from 198 podiums and 7 world championships and 104 race wins. You get that, that dive is going to happen. You block it off. It's just so fun to watch people that are good at what they do. And yeah, I thought it was, quite great. Those two moments specifically.
So next time we are at Austria, Red Bull Ring. I think it will be round 2 or 3, a fight in terms of McLaren versus Red Bull. Who do you think will win?
Who's going to win? I think that's a pretty bold prediction. I might get a lot of hate for that, but I'm going to stick with it, and I think he's going to win the race.
Yeah, fair enough. Who do you think is going to win in between Lewis and George?
I'm going to go with George.
I'm going to go Lewis. I'm feeling optimistic.
Let's go! Woo! I'm going with George because I don't want his fans to find me in my sleep in the middle of the night and kill me.
We need to get you a George Russell t-shirt.
They're not watching this podcast. They're not gonna ever see this stuff again.
No, we'll just get you on it.
I think that video. I'm gonna save that video.
Thatcher behind you.
George Russell. Yeah. I'm gonna get a really good like romantic comedy style poster of George Russell. He's gonna be my love, my boo. Yeah, I think this is something I'm gonna ride with forever.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and we shall see you after the Austrian Grand Prix.
And sorry, George Russell. Bye.